Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Ricknineg. Today we're going to be talking about the 007 film called Goldfinger. This is the third of the entire Bond series that's coming out. I would say it's like a series of 24, something like that, 24, 23, 24 movies that have come out in the Bond name. And so I was really excited because if you haven't seen my review on Dr. No or Forum Russia with Love, I would highly suggest that you do that. I think you would really enjoy it. If you are new to the channel, thank you and welcome. Feel free to browse my channel. I have tons of videos. Let's get right to this review. So again, you know that I try not to look at any other reviews or any other ratings of the movie. I try to go with my opinion, and hopefully that stays true to what the movie is and to get the best idea of how it is, especially for those who haven't seen it. So I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as possible without ruining the plot or anything like that. The movie begins with an awesome scuba diving Bond. This is what I love. This is the Bond that I thought I would get in the first two movies. Not that I didn't get it, but I mean, starting out with scuba diving, infiltrating. I mean, that's what a secret agent does, right? Infiltration. Then when he comes out, he's in a white suit, blows things up, right? And it is just an amazing scene. He looks so great. I love Sean Connery in this movie as Bond. I think he embodies Bond. There's this great fight scene right in the beginning where he knows that someone's going to attack him because of a reflection he's looking at. So he's looking at someone's eye, and there's a zoom into someone's eye, and there's a reflection of someone coming behind him. It's amazing. It's great. I don't even know if that can happen. I guess it can. Now again, this movie is called Goldfinger, and so the theme of gold is everywhere, and I love that. I'm really big into the theme of Egypt, like that's my big thing, and I love like gold, just the concept of gold and Fort Knox. Like I've always loved that, like not even talking about the movie, just that in itself, like it always fascinated me, the melting of the gold and how much it's worth. Same thing with silver. Goldfinger, his first name Auric, A-U-R-I-C. You guys all know that on the periodic table, AU, Auric, AU is the periodic name for gold. And so I think that was pretty clever.
Morning, Mr. Simmons. Ready for a little game?
We do start out with a Miami setting, which I think is great. I love the different Bond movies having different settings, and I think this one suited the movie pretty well. I think that was great. I loved the villain, believe it or not. In the beginning, I didn't think I would because I saw him and I was like, oh, they already spoiled the villain. Is this the villain, Goldfinger? Like, that's what the movie's about? Incidentally, we have Dr. No, who is the villain of the movie. That's the name of the Bond movie. From Russia with Love, we don't have that same thing. But then, Goldfinger, again, the villain. So we have two movies already out of the three being named for the villain, which I think is pretty cool. You do see the different sides of Goldfinger. And let me tell you, in the beginning I was like, this guy's gonna be a joke. He's gonna be a horrible villain. Just because he didn't seem that menacing to me. He was even like beat in the beginning. I won't get into the details of that. But then you see him and you're like, this guy's absolutely nuts.
Old Mr. Bond. All my life I've been in love with its color.
Which is great. That's what I want to see, that transition. That range that he had is awesome. There is another Bond, James Bond moment that he has, Sean Connery. It's so great. It's kind of like Dr. No, how it was so iconic, and here it was so iconic. It was just like, I love it. It satisfies my senses.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
If you guys haven't watched this and you watch it, you know what I'm talking about. And if you have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Of course, we see the lovely woman covered in paint. That's the quintessential. If you're completely covered in paint, no skin is left exposed, you really die. And so this woman, you know, dies. I'm not really even saying who it is or anything, but it happens. And I don't know, I've seen people do this in real life, like you leave a little patch, you stay alive. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it was, I don't know, it's an interesting concept. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I thought it was really cool. And then you have Moneypenny as well, the little banter with Bond, I love it. It's like he chases after her, she chases after him, but nothing really comes of it. I do like it. And then Q Branch, we finally get to see a Q Branch, not just Q. We get to see like a department now, and we get to see one of the coolest things that we've seen so far. I know it gets even cooler and crazier later, but we finally get to see the first Aston Martin, the DB5 actually, which is great. Has a lot of gadgets, ejector seat, which is I think one of the coolest things ever. Now there was this golf game that was really interesting. but it's a tense golf game that I think was really interesting. I think they replicated similarly, if you've seen Casino Royale, the poker match between the villain and Le Chiffre and Bond. I think it was like that. Like there was just this jostling, this toying of each other. I think it was great. It was a little more lighthearted, but it was still like, what's gonna happen? What's going on? There are high stakes here. This is kind of a predictor of what will happen. It was just awesome. I love that golf game. Then we get to see the Rolls-Royce Phantom 3, I believe 1937, something really old. I think it was gorgeous. The fact that I had it in this movie, it was what, like 35 years old in the movie? Now that car is like worth like so much money. It's indescribable. And so it's amazing to see it on film. You see a lot more, like I was saying, of the gadgets, which I think was great. So far I'm loving this movie so much more. I think I was more excited watching it, but I was also nervous saying, oh, are they going to leave me at the end? Are they going to drop the plot, or is it going to be not interesting? Hopefully it builds up to something. You get this where it's like you're excited and then you go up, and then hopefully you end on a high note. And we have the henchman. There's always like the top villain, henchman. The henchman was pretty good. Odd job. He was odd. Like I'm not even joking about his name. Like it was like, was he a skilled person? I guess he was. But then his hat wasn't made out of metal. I don't know. It was just a weird thing. Odd job. He was there. He presented a little bit of a challenge to Bond, which all the henchmen do kind of before they get to the villain. So I think they did a fairly good job of teasing him in the movie. And then this is the movie where we see the classic laser table where Bond is tied up, and then you see the laser coming to cut him in half. You saw that parodied in The Simpsons and in so many other movies and TV shows and stuff. I think it was quintessentially good. It made sense when I watched the movie. It was just so great. I was very, 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 again, satisfied. I keep using that word, but this movie did satisfy a lot of these things that I was looking out for, like I was waiting for in a Bond film, and I was getting them time after time. And then there's this great line by the villain in Bond where he says, "Do you expect me to talk?" He says, "No, I expect you to die."
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
It was just amazing. And then, of course, the Bond girl, Pusher galore. And with his accent, just made it so great.
Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
I'll just leave it at that. Great moment in cinema history. Some things that were a little bit weird, going back to Odd Job. There was one, I'll just say, a very heavy gold bar was thrown at him, and it like didn't hurt him. And I was like, why? Is he a robot? Like, I don't understand. Maybe it'll be answered later. I don't know. But there were some weird little quirks in the movie which weren't that bad. There was a bit of a pool game and a trick shot, which I think was great. And there were little things sprinkled here and there. But again, the movie is peppered with these moments. You're like, oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. I really like that. Like, again, it was satisfying moment after satisfying moment. And finally, with the plot, with what the villain was trying to do, there's a surprising twist that I think was great. I don't think anyone would expect it. You really can't. Because the original plot, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Then they just twist it. Very well done. Great job by the writers. And I enjoyed it. Although, was it foolproof? Probably not. And then again, you have the great ending. Bond girl, very similar to the other movies, which I think is great. It kind of ties all these movies in together. After each movie, you don't see the girls anymore, which I think is hilarious. It's like Bond just moves on. They never happened, but Bond keeps coming back. So I have to tell you that I fully enjoy this movie. I was wrestling with what grade to give it. It is by no means, it is not a perfect film, but it is a great film. It is a great film for the 1960s. It is very well written. All the characters were great, although there were some minor things here and there that I mentioned, but it didn't take away from the greatness. So I'm going to give this film an A-. An A- is a fantastic grade, let me tell you. You might think, why didn't it get an A? Well, just because there were at times, it's just so slight, where I wanted the movie to move on just a little bit. But I think you should know that the 60s, 70s, movies were a lot slower paced. That's just how it was. The idea was that there was a lot more dialogue, and you kind of work up to these scenes, comparing them to films now where it's like action scene, action scene, action scene, talk, 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 action scene, action scene. Yes, there were just a little moments where it dragged on just a little bit too long a little too many details that we really didn't need. And so yes, it didn't get a perfect A because of that, but let me tell you, you need to watch this film if you haven't and you're a Bond fan, or if you just want to get into Bond, start with Goldfinger. There's no real order. It's nothing that's going to kill you if you see Goldfinger first and then start watching the others and appreciate them. So thank you so much, guys and gals. Don't forget to look at my other reviews. I do appreciate your support on my channel. We'll see you all next time. Hopefully you're staying positive, and most importantly, be hopeful.